Founded presents Triumph, India's leading virtual career fair for diversity. Discover over 5,000 jobs at companies that celebrate you. Find a workplace that's equally yours between the 12th to the 14th of November. Enroll now.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the fourth session of Triumph 2024, the topic titled From Policy to Practice, Realizing Inclusive Hiring. I'm Vimal Nair. I'm the Chief Business Officer here at Founded, and I'm honored to have with us Puneet Singhal, the Chief Discovery Officer at Billion Strong, and a true change maker in the field of inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. Puneet's journey has been deeply shaped by personal experiences, fueling his mission to break down barriers for marginalized communities worldwide. As a co-founder of Beyond Acceptance, he has pioneered strategies that deliver measurable impact in D&I across global organizations. Through workshops, advocacy, and cross-cultural engagement, Puneet has helped organizations move beyond policies to embrace genuine inclusion and representation. Today, he'll be sharing with us insights on realizing inclusive hiring from policy to practice, grounded in his passion for equity and his belief in unity within diversity. Let's give Puneet a warm welcome. And Puneet, a few words about yourself and your initiative, please.
Thank you so much, Vimal, for this wonderful introduction and to this wonderful organization founded for this opportunity. And I always and never miss this opportunity to talk about inclusion in any, in any shape, any aspect of human life and hiring. It's a very important topic which we are going to discuss now. Talking about myself, I'm a person with dyslexia, dyspraxia, and stammering, which made me realize, it forced me to think about how persons with disabilities, neurodivergent individuals, and other conditions, how they have to struggle and, how they find a lot of challenges in their path to successful career. So I started, I co-founded this organization, Billion Strong. It's an identity-based organization working towards empowering uh, persons with disability and especially in their professional lives. So we support entrepreneurs with disabilities and job seekers with disability through providing them trainings, providing them different workshops and sessions on different topics, so that they whenever they go to the job market, or whenever they go for fundings for their startup, they feel very they have all the tools that they require for their successful venture.
Perfect. That's a brilliant initiative. Great to have you with us. Let's jump right into our topic for the day. Uh, let's understand from you at the beginning what inspired you really to focus on inclusive hiring in particular, and why do you believe it's crucial for an organization or an individual's long-term success?
Uh, Vimal, just to tell you a little bit about sharing my background. I was the first one in my family to go to an university, and that going there and getting a degree, and then appearing for an interview with the stammer, with so I was able to actually clear that, because that fine day I was not stammering. I don't know what happened to me. That's, I always define my stammering. It's just like weather. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's a sunny day. So I don't know how I'm going to react to tense situations, generally. So I got a job and I started to work. I my parents were happy. uh, I was sharing, that I'm working in this big organization. I have made it. Just
Yeah.
after getting a degree, I have made it, and it was all very very good. And I really, the environment, the atmosphere was really good. I would not say that it was not good, the induction process, and then how we were trained into, to learn to do, how to be do all of these things, which are daily activities and all. It was perfect, we were getting uh, salary, I was getting salary. This was amazing for a 22, 23-year-old boy. What else do I need then? But as days goes by, uh, I I'm a very active, despite having stammering, I'm very active. I always want to participate in things. So there was this team huddle, and I talked to my manager before that today I want to host the team huddle.
Yeah.
My manager knows me, how I speak. So he said, we only have 15 minutes. So, he just imply that, you will not be an ideal candidate to host. So
Yeah.
I think that hit me a little hard, because his intentions were not bad. People were really good, but it really somehow affected my self-esteem, you know and I started to think that what I can do. And
Mm.
me being, I'm a born activist, I
Mm.
always
Mm.
wanted to raise my voice, always wanted to do some things about all of these things. So I said, okay, I talked to my mother, and my mother, always supports me. She said, okay, uh, go for it. If you want to do
Mm.
that, go for it. And let
Mm.
me tell you, our financial conditions was not good. We simply, I now I look back into time, I was brave, but she was something else. Now I say that all of these things, the contribution of yours is just immense. So I started my organization. I started to, talk about how I started with only stammering, how person with stammering can be included in the workplace. It can be
Right.
included the educational institutions and all of these things. So I was doing all of these things, and then I was talking a lot. I was making my participants with stammering to talk a lot in the public spaces.
Okay.
My motive was to make the world used to that voice of the stammer. Let's
Mm.
normalize stammering. That was
Okay.
the whole idea behind it. And surprisingly, one day, a person from Forbes contacted me, and they wanted to, feature this approach of mine.
Mm.
And there I am, within 1 year of the nonprofit, I was featured in Forbes for this approach, because I think that was new to the world, that kind of work that I was trying to do. And this being my journey, I realized that there is lot of things to do. And I always say that let's help the organizations to help us.
Right.
This is my motto. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Very well said. Uh, Maybe this is a good way to go into our next question as well. Uh, Beyond your own stories, but is there anything else that you can share as a story of success when inclusive hiring sort of transformed either an individual or a team, um, or a project, or on a particular project that maybe they were working on, from your own experience or from your extended circles?
Ah, I wanted to start with a disclaimer that I don't believe that disability is something negative, or
Yeah.
disability is something of a superpower. You know,
Hmm.
People generally do tends to fall into one category.
Hmm.
Either you are doomed or you are a superhero. That doesn't work that way. So, but with that point, one of a tech firm hired a neurodivergent developer,
Hmm.
and I think he was so well suited for the role because he was a born problem solver. Because he used to think out of the box.
Hmm.
How he used to bring ideas.
Hmm.
That the whole team was blown away. By
Hmm.
his approach, by the
Hmm.
kind of style. His work ethics was amazing. He was passionate about
Right.
solving a world issue. The problem that So he was obsessive. So that
Hmm.
was his characteristic, that was how who he was, that kind of personality that he had. And, but in the hiring process, there was some challenges. Uh,
Mhm.
and kudos to the whole hiring team, kudos to the HR, kudos to the manager. They found a gem. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's really important for us to realize that what is, convention. We always say
Yeah.
that, okay, look into the eye of the manager. He never look into the eye of anyone who he's talking to. He is always looking down. So
Yeah.
but he's not nervous. He is not at
Yeah.
all nervous. He's just what he is like. He's just like that. So I think if we accept people as they are, and then try to look for their strengths and their qualities, I think that's the way forward. And they just did that.
Absolutely. They say, do not judge a fish by its ability
Hmm.
to climb a tree. Look for what the fish is capable of, right? Great point, Puneet. Very well said as well. Uh, what do you see as challenges when you work with organizations? What do you see as challenges that organizations face when turning inclusive hiring policies into maybe real actions? Everybody has a policy, but when it comes to making it practical, I've
Mhm.
seen companies struggle. What do you think are the reasons why they struggle?
Yes, so just to continue from the last conversation I was talking to, that hiring happened because of the individual wisdom of
Hmm.
of the HR, the persons who were like interviewing him. But the
Right.
system itself, the cult itself, was not conducive. So
Mm.
I always think that, I don't want to fall into individual glory. That
Mm.
is good. That is really good. But what we can do with the system, what we can do with the culture. And there comes the importance of how removing the workplace barriers, removing the barriers to inclusive hiring. So a significant challenge lies in that bridge of intention and implementation. Many companies endorse policies, that we are inclusive, but when it comes to in the operations, they somehow struggle with that.
Mhm.
And somehow, the hiring manager is not well trained, is not
Yeah.
aware how of all of these inclusive recruitment techniques and processes, and the bias fault, and somehow we are all human beings. We are conditioned to think in
Mm.
a way,
Yeah.
uh, because maybe sometimes if that guy who was looking down, he was not looking into the interview's eye, would have thought, okay, he's rude, he's arrogant, or he's nervous. This is
Mm.
how we think, that look into the
Mhm.
eyes, that all these
Yeah.
personality gurus tell us all the time. But neurodivergent people think in a different way. They have their
Right.
own personalities, and the HR knows that. So I think, can we train our managers like that? Can we train our HRs with all of these, trainings on unconscious bias, how to
Mhm.
remove such, you know, uh, conditioned theories of confidence and personalities and all of these things. I think that's really important.
Totally agree. In fact, as you were speaking, I was thinking about this, that many organizations have laid out policies because probably it's passed on from their corporate headquarters in another country onto India, or also because their CEO or the board has the agenda. But the deep, well thought through mechanism of how to implement, I've seen it missing in many places. I'll give you an example. Uh, we were working with one company. They wanted to hire people with ortho disabilities. They wanted to hire people with disabilities, and they said we could start with people with ortho, maybe wheelchair-bound people, but after which we can expand it into other forms of, and we want to do it, we are very purposely doing it, and so on and so forth. And now we were supporting them, but when one of our team members visited their office, we realized that their office is in the first floor of a building, and that building doesn't even have a ramp laid out. So this basic simple fact was completely missed, but the HR had gone about creating the policy, had started out a job description, and the hiring process was on. And then the long story short is eventually we had to work with them and create
Yeah.
that even basic space to go inside. I think the critical point there is our own people the larger awareness
Mm.
and education or enablement of what challenges are there, what organizations need to lay out as policies, what's the step-by-step method. For example, even for an interviewer, you mentioned that whether they will look at your eyes or not, whether they would stammer or not. Each of these needs to be taught, and knowledge has to be imparted to the hiring manager, the interview panel, as well as the organization at large before they actually embark on a journey. Have you had any such experiences from your uh, uh, work with other companies as well?
Lot of, positive and negative both. And the stories are they are life changing. When I
Right.
hear stories, and it's even more moving when I see them happening in front of my eye. The organizations that I'm working with, they are doing something. They did something amazing, which I'm proud of them. That okay, maybe now I'm not required in the organization.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think I really wanted to see a world where DEI consultants are not required.
Mm,
It's so much
mm.
into, I just want to lose my job. This is my dream.
But is there any one or two examples that you would like to take? I mean, if you want to not talk about the company
Uh-huh.
name, that's fine. But is there any one or two such examples where a policy was made, but they didn't have the right mechanism or machinery within their systems, which prevented them, or anything of that nature that you could quickly recollect?
Yeah. So uh, to uh, to remove that kind of bias, it was, they created a digital platform,
Uh-huh.
with a lot of data privacy and a lot of mechanism in place. But
Mm-hmm.
later on we come to know that that website was not inclusive for people with visual impairment or people who are
Uh-huh.
blind, because the
Right.
screen readers was not compliant with the website.
Right.
I think the
Right.
mean should justify the end.
Yeah.
Intentions and implementation both. Policy to
Right.
practice, everything should be in place. And that's why we need feedback. That's why we need to listen. That's why we need to have real users in place. I
Mm-hmm.
can be a wonderful designer. I can design aesthetic websites and applications.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to real users, who are going to use it, they should find it useful. Then and somehow people believe that that accessibility and aesthetics are not compliant. They don't complement each other. But that's, I think, simplicity is the most beautiful form of aesthetic for me. If it is simple,
Mm-hmm.
if it is
Mm-hmm.
usable, if it is readable, if it is accessible, then it's very close to perfect.
Absolutely, very well said. I was just making a note that simplicity is the most beautiful form of aestheticity as well. Totally concur with that thought process. Let's move right on. According to your thought process, let's say, how can leaders of organizations who are sitting in the decision-making seats set the tone for inclusivity in their hiring principles, as well as what practical actions would you recommend for them to take to for their teams to emulate?
I think uh, I am including myself as well. I am a founder as well. I'm a co-founder as well. And somehow, we at that the top of the chain. We need to get away with that false sense of control.
Mm,
You know that everything has to be go through me. Everything has to be just perfect, and everything has to be very top down.
mhm,
That it's still there. I don't know how people are managing that, but it's still there. And somehow I find myself many times guilty of that. I
mm,
must confess that, because we think that, okay, we are perfectionist. Founders
mhm.
are perfectionists. We wanted to, like, we are passionate.
Yeah.
We somehow don't look at what time we are working. There is no work life balance, and we think that, okay, our employees should also do that. It's we are building something amazing, we are building something crazy. Okay, let's do that. All of these things are fine, but at the same time we have to accept that, give people that choice. Give people that freedom to
Mm,
explore and express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
People have different styles.
Right.
I'm not talking about people with disabilities and neurodivergent people only. I'm talking about everyone. They have their
Right.
different style. They have their own way to do things. So I
Right.
think we should and we must, have should create that environment where people excel in that.
Right. I think you as you were speaking, I was thinking about my own personal self. I don't identify as a person with any form of disability, but I come from Kerala, and my thinking language is Malayalam.
Yeah.
So when I'm speaking to you, I'm forming a sentence in my mind in Malayalam, then I'm
Uh-huh.
translating and I'm speaking to you in English. Sometimes, as you said in the beginning, sometimes it's a shiny day, therefore it all comes out very well. But sometimes I have the problem that I can see a horse, but I can't put the word horse to the horse. So I end up not being able to express myself. Even after 25 years of being in the industry, I still find it difficult.
Mhm.
But if somebody were to judge me on that, and not give me an opportunity or support me in an initiative where I'm
Exactly.
standing in front of an audience and speaking. So where it worked for me, Puneet, is early in my career, there was a leader whom I worked with, and he could quickly recognize that I had ideas, I had things to do and capability to do, but I had problem where I was not expressing myself with as fluency as possible. So he stood by me and said, "It doesn't matter. It's okay for you to fail. I will stand by you no matter what." Now, for example, Sanju Samson said the recent other day that
Uh-huh.
Surya Kumar Yadav came and told him that whatever happens, how much of a score you score, for the next 7 matches, you are the opener for the T20 team. Now, when a manager says that to you,
Yeah, yeah.
that gives you confidence that whatever your problems are, whether it's a disability, different ability, or your own personal capability issue, if there is a support system available to back you, you go out there and perform very, very differently. And Sanju scored a century there. And
Absolutely,
and,
Vimal. Yeah.
and that's
Actually,
exactly.
mm,
Go ahead, please. You were
yeah.
saying something.
Actually, I am been thinking uh last few days where there was we're going little off track, but that's a very important topic to share that uh due to we say that due to toxic work culture,
Mm-hmm.
there have been few people opting to resign, or maybe
Yeah.
leaving their jobs, or maybe they are stressed, they are
Mhm.
some in some extreme cases people are into depression as well, and
Right.
managers plays a great and very big role,
Right. Totally.
and it's they they're so, I would say, they can make or break a a career, especially especially if it's your first job. I
Yeah.
think that's the foundation. If people are lucky that some managers become their mentors for life. I've seen these people, and that they excel. They simply do very good in their careers, not only in their careers but in other aspect of their lives as well. They have that kind of wisdom. They have that kind of people whom they can fall back into. So that kind
Mm-hmm.
of mental health support is, I would say, important in hiring as well. Sometimes let me give you an example. I have a friend from Lucknow,
Mm-hmm.
and what a talent,
Mm-hmm.
what a talent. He knows in and out of what he is doing, the nuances. He was describing me, who doesn't know anything about engineering, anything.
Mm-hmm.
I have studied social sciences, I've studied history and political science, and he was explaining me the things, and I was understanding that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he good he is. So he was losing his eyesight slowly.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh.
the I'm very forgetful. I apologize. I don't remember the condition,
Mm-hmm.
but he was slowly losing out on. He said that I am finding it struggle to sometimes or to write the codes and all of these things, and he shared it with the manager, and uh, he was not facing, the managers, like I kind of said that we are family, but
Mm-hmm.
somehow it was not worked out that way, and people were
Mm-hmm.
getting promotions, and he was pressurized to resign. just because of that. And
Understood.
he was a top performer.
Mm.
In my interactions, he was always saying that this is what I have got. No, this is my performance. This is other people's performance. And he was clearly the top performer, but
Yeah.
still he was struggling a lot, just
Mm.
because the manager has this impression that he will not be able to do good. So
Mm.
he did lot of persistence. He
Mm.
actually convinced the manager. Then he got transferred into a different team, and in that
Yeah.
different team he got a new manager, and there was a fresh start. you
Right.
know that the bond was very important, because somehow he understands the challenge, but he
Correct.
understands that this person is very capable. He can do things. He just requires some accommodations. He just
Correct.
requires some changes in the screen.
Mm.
Maybe some bold and some large fonts will work for him. So only this much of changes can simply change a young person's life. That because he's
Correct.
just coming out from the college, he's very young, coming from rural Uttar Pradesh. It
Mm.
can simply, it was a very heart touching story.
Very, very nice. Thank you for sharing that. That's very important. In fact, in my own career, I've seen this. Since we're on the topic of hiring, um, many a times we've seen when a leader that matters, let's say a department leader or a CEO, they themselves, if they do the first step of going above and beyond in including a team member, everybody knows this, that a diverse set of views always gives you multiple perspectives and therefore helps you make decisions which are more long term and more thought through, well thought through. And in my experience, what I've seen is whenever leaders have taken that step and come forward and taken the first hire from their own team from a diverse background, that's when the team around them says that, yeah, I need to emulate, I need to follow something which my leader themselves could do, and therefore it becomes a trickle down effect, and that then goes into the organization as a part of culture. And typically, as you know, a leader's culture is the organization's culture. It can never be the other way around. So the leaders taking that first step in being bold enough and saying, this is what I think is the best for the organization, and to support each other. I will do it and I'll stand by example. I lead by example. The rest of the equation will fall through in place, and according to my experience.
Yes, and also to add the point that you were sharing about how English is not your first language, is not
Right.
how you think. And for more than 90% of this world, English is not their first language. you know
Correct.
and we need to acknowledge that at this point, especially here in our country, English is
Yeah.
not our language. People
Yeah.
are not talking in English in their homes.
Right.
And can we use little simple and plain words in our job application, in our job description, or whatever material we are sending to our to the job seekers. That
Correct.
can make a lot of difference for all of us. And that's why I
Correct.
always say that when we are making things inclusive, we are not improving things only for disabled. We are
Hmm.
improving things for everyone. The calm
Society
curve
at
effect.
large.
Yeah, it's
Correct.
it's it's
Absolutely.
really the ripple effect is amazing. And also, you know it it shows that you care.
Yeah. That it matters to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very well put. Great points there, Puneet. Now let's get into a very. I'm thinking it's a tough one, but I'll leave it to your expertise to advise us. How do you think an organization can measure the success of inclusive hiring practices? Is there any specific outcomes that can indicate progress, or is there any metrics or measurements that you have advised or advocated for people to follow? Is there anything for the audience to practice according to you?
I For the evaluation and monitoring, I would say we need to do lot of homework. We
Hmm.
need to do lot of work for people to be open and people to be expressive.
Hmm.
Our employees, our people are, they if they feel insecure, if they feel that things can change if they disclose their condition. For example, uh, I would say a lot of people say that, that I have some traits of ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about that. They
Mm.
they haven't been ever to a professional. Uh, they not been formally diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
But how we can help, or maybe how we react when they say that,
Yeah.
when they disclose that, when they say,
Yeah.
okay, I'm self-diagnosed. I have heard managers saying that, oh, autism and ADHD are in trend now. They have become trendy. These
Mm.
these youngsters, they all are autistic and ADHD.
Mm.
These kind of statements not gonna help. And
Mm.
simply, these maybe the terminologies were not available at that time, but these
Mm.
conditions always existed. What do
Correct.
you think? What Einstein was socially awkward. Einstein
Yeah.
was weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
What he was, maybe he was autistic. We don't know. But from his characteristics, from his personality, we can say that he was definitely neurodivergent.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And so are a lot of great personalities, and lot of other people, from their uh, 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 habits, from whatever they used to do. So just to say that these things are in trend is not going to help. And coming
Mm-hmm.
back to monitoring and evaluation, once we create that kind of atmosphere. So once I
Mm.
go to an organization as a consultant, I say that that it's going to take time. If you say that,
Mm.
okay, give me results in 6 months, this is not going to happen. And if you're going to say that I'm not going to take this opportunity, I have to let you
Mm.
go, because
Mm.
this is not how you change the culture. DEI
Yeah.
is very complicated, and
Mm.
some people understand, some people think that, okay, now we have hired you, show us the result
Mm.
next week. So
Correct. Yeah.
this is simply, I wouldn't have said this thing because I was thinking that, okay, no one can say that, but it has happened to me. It has
Mm.
happened to me in a very big organization, and they said, okay, we are like, we are giving you access to the employees. We are, giving you the time to conduct your workshops and do your magic, and just show us the results. So
Mm.
people are like that as well. For them, I just say that, okay, I would say I have to say bye bye. It's good to meet, and it was good to work, but I think I would not be able to continue. But with other people who are patient, who
Mm.
understand, how emotions work, how the sense of belonging works, how it evolves in an organization culture. I create a lot of questionnaires, lot of surveys, time to time, that how they are feeling.
Mm.
Maybe some people are, not they don't just fit into the gender our gender fabric, that conventional sense of binary, that.
Understood. Yeah.
And also, some people are, they require accessibility. So I
Mm.
always say that, the way we have normalized glasses,
Mm.
most of us are wearing glasses and no one looks like that.
Mm.
Why we are thinking that if someone is using a wheelchair, why it somehow becomes uncomfortable, it somehow
Correct.
becomes a sense of the pity.
Yeah.
So I think we all need, humans have always used tools,
Mm.
humans have always used these things for betterment of their lives.
Correct.
So, uh, monitoring and evaluation is a very complicated issue. I must confess that I'm still trying to evolve my questionnaire and surveys, and
Mm.
also to make sure, because in India people are not disclosing their disabilities.
Right.
People are little scared. People feel that, if I tell, how will my colleagues react? How will my
Mm.
manager, maybe they will start to think that I'm not capable enough. This is what we call ableism, where we
Right.
think that only people who are non-disabled are capable, and people
Correct.
who are disabled, they face various kind of discrimination and biases against them.
Right. Right. So I'm going to prompt. It's a question to understand perspective of yours. Um, let's take an example of maybe employee satisfaction as an example. And I'll tell you two, three things that I wanted to ask your opinion on. Employee satisfaction is one. Would measuring employee satisfaction and the overall employee satisfaction amongst a mixed group, not just a differently abled employee, but the mixed group or a project team as a whole, could that be one way of measuring improvement as an inclusive hiring outcome? As one question. Second could be productivity. Because you mentioned one of your friends example who thinks out of the box and can do work much faster than the rest of the properly abled people. So would productivity of a combined team as an entity, could that give a indication of improvement or progress? Similarly,
Mm,
maybe organizations, I know, I'm sure you know this, DNI index is a very practiced measurement mechanism to say, at the end of the last year, we were at so many, women versus men or differently abled people versus able people. And they have an index measurement and they're all given index and indices and targets that in the next year, you need to get to this. So are any of these good measures, or would you even suggest companies to even look at those as a mechanism to measure progress? Or would you suggest we should keep every one of these aside and do something completely different? What do you think about that?
I would say let's inculcate all of these m- f- metrics
Mhm.
in our uh, format of measuring the impact.
Yeah.
And we all know that, Vimal, you must have heard a lot of studies, you must have gone through that studies as well, that they say that if there is more belonging, if there is more diversity and inclusion within an organization, the productivity will go down. This is generally we call the business case of DEI.
Right.
When
Right.
we uh, we gonna do this, this is like 50% of productivity has gone down, that 40% of retention, this is this and that, all of these things, Accenture, EY, you know all of these organizations come with their own reports every year, and every time there is some positive, I would say, connection with DEI.
Right.
So we cannot deny
Yeah.
such things, but at the same time, let's face that DEI is facing a backlash.
Yeah.
You know, simply, because people, like, people, big organizations and big personalities are saying that it's not working.
Mm.
It's kind of a scam. It's kind of,
Mm.
it's a kind of a mafia that you have created.
Correct.
So how we can, how we can convince the
Mm.
leadership, how we can convince that, okay, you still go with that, you still keep moving in the right direction, and then
Right.
we just compare, okay, let's go by merit.
Mm.
So as if, DEI is is not merit, because we say DEI versus merit, always this is
Yeah.
the debate.
Yeah.
So I think these metrics are very important, but at the same time, are we addressing the elephant in
Mm.
the room? We are not.
Right. Right.
We are not. We're simply living in our bubble. That, okay, you know, things will improve. The business case, the productivity will go down, and your all of these things, all these metrics will go up, 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 up. But simply, people are reducing their funds, their resources,
Correct.
from DI to some other forms. Okay, maybe we invest more in our different stuff, but not in DI. And it has started in the West. It will certainly be coming to our side as well. And maybe it has started. I'm not aware of that. But no, we simply need to address, and we need to uh, you know tackle that question and doubt amongst our leaders with a lot of rationality, and
Mm.
with a lot of sensibility as well.
Yeah.
Because we have given the numbers, but
Correct.
they are not convinced. So what else we can do? This is
Correct.
a question that we should all in the field of DEI should reflect.
Totally agree. And maybe in a way to say it is that not everything has to be metric and measured as well. There are much more larger purposes and perspectives beyond just metrics and measurements as well. Maybe a good segue to move to the next very interesting topic, which is about community partnerships, right? Um, what do you think is the role that community and partnerships play in achieving authentic inclusivity?
I think collaboration has been, I would say, uh, a very complex thing, because
Hmm.
in the beginning I was in my career I was like, okay, let's collaborate, let's partner with different organizations, and then now I have realized that okay, you cannot partner with everyone, people
Correct.
have different styles, people have their own motives as well, which may not align with us. But at the same time, I would say, Vimal, that when we collaborated with Indeed,
Hmm.
uh, they were very open. They actually listened to us, and then we made sure that their contentions and their concerns should be addressed.
Hmm.
For example, they said that companies always say that we don't have budget. So we said that our needs are very simple, just as we said that simple job description, or maybe just sending interview questions in advance, because we are not in school anymore, we don't want to surprise anyone. We
Correct.
have done our education, we have done different jobs as well, and now people are applying for the job. Let's not make it a surprise.
Mm.
It's simply be a little better and little soothing for the job applicants to have these questions well in advance.
Mm.
Uh, so, and they were like, okay, this doesn't require any funding. This doesn't require any budget per se. So, and then when they forwarded the manual and the guidelines to uh, uh, to the organizations, they also welcome that, because uh, th- it just it just open up their mind towards inclusive hiring.
Mm.
No, just okay, it was that simple. Oh, we can do that. No, that was their reaction, and we were happy to see that, and also to see that now they are open to make bigger changes as well.
Understood.
Yeah, so this is how we start from small, and then we create the sense of comfort, we create that sense of mutual trust, and then we build
Mhm.
up build on that relationship, which takes time.
Understood. But the community as a whole,
Mhm.
Puneet, what I see is that when there is a group of people who
Mhm.
understand each other and who have gone through similar experiences, as you rightly said, each one of them have a different way of handling a challenge,
Yeah.
but I could learn from them. And I could learn and then therefore emulate or maybe add my own flavor on top of it and make it better. And that sense, I've seen communities coming together and helping people achieve their dreams, maybe get a new job, or if they are going through you mentioned about depression or a difficult time with an employee or a manager at workplace, they give them that sense of support and materials maybe to come together and handle it together. What
Mhm.
is your experience or view on that? That what kind of uh, help and support can a community bring up in dealing with such problems and for people to maybe aspire for more than what they ever thought they could achieve?
Oh, yes, I think when you were saying this question, I was thinking of how the LGBTQI plus community has been able to put forward their needs,
Yeah.
in hiring, in the workplaces. So I think, and how they have been able to uh, put forward their case.
Yeah.
And I always say that, okay, let's learn from other movements around
Mm.
the world. If I'm into
Mm.
disability movement, what I can learn from the climate change movement, what I can learn
Correct.
from gender diverse movements. and
Yeah.
how we can collaborate, and how
Mm.
we can say that, okay, there are a lot of disabled people
Mm.
who are from the LGBTQI community.
Mm.
So we intersect as well, we overlap
Mm.
as well, and
Correct.
what we can learn from each other's experiences, especially
Mm-hmm.
how what are the activities that been done in the Pride month, and how we
Mm-hmm.
can replicate something similar in the disability Pride Month,
Correct.
which the people are not aware that there's a Disability Pride Month as well. So
That's
I think
correct.
I think we are learning and we are trying to replicate. And I have a lot of times I have said that let's share best practices, and let's share how uh, we can collaborate and how we can learn from this movement. Because me as an expert, I can say I'm an expert, but
Mm.
when the collective consciousness, the collective intelligence will always be greater than all the intelligence that all of these experts and PhD holders and these experiences consultants hold. So I always
Correct.
believe that in that collective conscious and intelligence.
That's very well put. Uh, One more question, and then we'll wrap up as we move in to the last part of our segment. Uh, how do you think an inclusive hiring process impacts the overall candidate experience and also help in attracting top talent into your organization? What do you think are some snippets of wisdom that you could share in this topic as a important element from a talent acquisition perspective?
So when I started my organization, I got in touch with a man from Kashmir.
Hmm.
Just like me, he was a person with stammering,
Hmm.
and his challenges were very different,
Hmm.
and I could see the disappointment. How he used to say that things will never change. The
Hmm.
world, world will always be like that. We whenever we just open our mouth, they reject us.
Hmm.
Because communication, the one of the most intrinsic part, one of the most major quality that organizations look for is communication, and that too oral communication in English. All of these conditions are uh, put in forward. And I was like, okay, let's brainstorm, together, with so all our participants sit together and say that, what we can do to communicate, uh, what are the potential solutions.
Hmm.
We were thinking and we were realizing that let's let's take the power and responsibility in our hands. How we
Mm,
can do that? How we can take away, okay, let's declare that we stammer upfront,
mm.
instead of
Okay.
just they are figuring out themselves in the job application somewhere, wherever you're writing your uh, uh, m- motivation letter or anything, that requires, that we can write instead of just
Covering
just
letter
yeah,
maybe.
yeah, yeah,
Something.
cover letter, yes. And maybe in the email that we are applying, in the email signature part, uh, we can write something like, yes, I stammer and I communicate well.
Mm.
And that's not contradictory.
Yeah.
Somehow that was the statement, if I
Mm.
remember it properly. And that how things goes. Because one of the most compliments that I have got, Vimal, is that you communicate so well despite your stammering. So I say that I just don't like that word despite. Can we just change that? Yeah, we can say that, okay, you stammer and you communicate well. you know
Yeah.
Despite is like putting pressure on me.
Mm.
uh, uh,
Mm.
so so we tried that with that friend of mine. you
Mm.
know he for 3 months, after applying very intensively for lot of roles, lot of organizations, we didn't hear from any of them. And then one
Mm.
fine day, he was able to go for an interview, and that thing really helped, his interview round,
Mm.
because the interviewer was well prepared, the interviewer was aware,
Mm.
and interview, I think, that interviewed had done a lot of homework. Maybe he has done a lot of Google searches, maybe he has seen a lot of videos, maybe someone in the proximity, someone in the family is a person who stammers. I don't know, but the way my friend described the interview, it feels like he was very experienced and very ready, more ready than the interviewee. The interviewer was more,
Right,
more ready. So
right.
I in the beginning I said that let's help the our leaders, let's help our organizations to help us, and
Mm,
let's
mm,
communicate, let's be very specific, because when we ask for needs, for help, we don't we should not feel that it makes us small. And
mm.
with people with disabilities, the kind of experiences we have, I will not blame the community, because we had gone through a lot of bullying, sometimes a lot of discrimination, and these things, impacts us emotionally as well, which stop us to be vulnerable, which stop us to
Absolutely.
communicate.
Mm,
So I think it's a two-way process. It requires time. And but once like we start, we give that opportunity to the other person, and that if the other person reciprocate in similarly with compassion and with empathy, I think the world would change for better, not only in hiring, but for in every aspect of human life.
absolutely. I think a very important takeaway for me from there is that if you can give a pathway and be patient and be prepared, the entire candidate experience will transform. And therefore, your ability to find those gems uh, from amongst that difficult set of choices that you have to make, you will manyfold increase those chances and opportunities. And therefore, the overall experience will itself be a big difference for the candidate as well. I think that's a great point. Now, we are running into the last 10 minutes of our conversation. Probably I'll uh, put forward one more question and then maybe we can wrap it up. What advice would you give to companies? Maybe they're just starting their journey. They are probably not very clear in their inclusive hiring planning. Or maybe if you could even cover up a point on what's a good place to even start for a company that intends to do the right thing, but do not know what the way ahead should be and what's the ideal path ahead should be. What is your advice for them?
uh, Vimal, you must be aware that the developers, organizations always look uh, for user feedback,
Uh-huh.
and sometimes they go in the market, sometimes they wish, they want to, they desire to spend a lot of resources, lot of money to get that feedback from the market. This is how people learn, on
Mhm.
on their products, on their services, to improve on that. But what if I tell you that there is a big percentage of humans, that are ready to share their feedback, and they are the real users.
Mhm.
They are everywhere. They are your customers. They are your employees. They are in your family. They are in every religion, every caste, every creed, every region, every race, everywhere. So
Mhm.
would you say that okay, I would go for that because I'm getting it for free and they are real users.
Mhm. Absolutely, yeah.
This is exactly what we are. People with disabilities are ready, and when it comes to accessibility, when it's come to their needs, they always share it. They always
Mhm.
ask for things, and if we listen, if we take the feedback seriously, I think it's a win-win situation for all of us.
Yeah. I think so. The way you're putting it across is that be open to listen, understand what the community wants, be able to start rather than not start at all, take baby steps and go probably through a
Yes.
journey in identifying and evaluating and learning and course correcting is probably the best way to get onto the process than try to be perfect at it and get the plan right. Are you suggesting that experiment and learn versus be 100% prepared? Is that your recommendation for the companies at large?
Yeah, because things will change. The situation will change, the market will change, and we need to be ready for the changes. We need uh, to evolve. So I think as far as hiring is concerned, if we just talk about hiring in this context, in this
Mhm.
lens, uh, can we give our job seekers option?
Mm-hmm.
That okay, how do you want to apply?
Mm.
Hmm. If you want to have a phone call, if you want to have a video chat, if you want to just have a text, whatever
Correct.
you prefer, the choice will be yours. We just wanted to have good candidates for our
Correct.
for our organization. That's it. This
Correct.
is we need to put our like intentions very clear, and then we just to make sure that all the websites and all the applications, all the material on available should be compliant with the regulations. In
Correct.
US we have WCAG.
Mm-hmm.
That is like perhaps we include features like text description for images who people with for visual impairment,
Mm-hmm.
for deaf people which must definitely have captions for audio.
Mm-hmm.
We should have multiple ways to navigate pages. We should
Mm-hmm.
have accessible document formats for our websites.
Yeah.
We need to ensure a strong user experience. And when it comes to uh, uh, digital platform, I think usability should be our priority. We
Yeah.
need to ensure that we reach to organizations, person with disability organizations that can provide us, very good recommendations, because they have, they have years of experience. Let's collaborate with them as well. Let's educate our hiring team as well. Let's make sure that we do not have any bias in our recruitment hiring process. But let's make sure that we are open to accommodations as well. Maybe some people want to have breaks between
Yeah.
interviews. Some
Yeah.
people wants to use screen users. Some people used to have sign language interpretation. Some people used to use their personal devices. Whatever it is, let's be open for that. Maybe we send the interview questions well in advance.
Right.
So I'm just thinking out loud. There are multiple ways, and and I think if I will be the leader, I will opt to do less. I will
Mm.
say, okay, you tell me.
Mm.
You are going to be the one who working for me. You tell me, how do you want to work? If I'm
And
the leader, and I think it's a great lazy way to do things right way.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was just making some notes as you were speaking because it really touched the way, touched my mind the way you were explaining it. You said it very well when you said it's not an exam. I mean, we are not in school anymore. It doesn't have to be a memory test, and
Yeah.
you don't have to surprise somebody by suddenly asking a question. Your your eventual objective is to figure out whether this individual in front of me for an interview can add value to my organization, can help the organization achieve its long-term objectives or not. And therefore, all you need to know is his capability or her capability. Do not measure memory, right? That's a
Yeah.
one important point I took away. Second is probably you're also saying do not have to be JD led. Everything doesn't have to be a job description led. People come with their own capabilities.
Hmm.
Create a JD around the person you find rather than create a JD and look for a person who fits into that JD. That's another way of possibly looking at it. Similarly, you said simplicity in the English of the JD itself, whatever simple things that you can relate to people. Not everybody speaks the language of the Queen in India. So how do you enable that? And organizations can start small. They don't have to have everything perfect in their entire journey. They could do it small steps, baby steps, but be very thoughtful about it, very intent ready about it, intentful about it, rather than just doing it as a tick mark. Those are the key takeaways that I'm taking, Puneet. Anything else that you would like to add for the team as a whole?
I think at last I would say that um, like found it. I think we should uh, provide opportunities to the advocates, to the consultants who are working in this space.
Correct.
I think if a big organization provide the platform, if uh, we can provide the voice to the people who are working in the field already. I think
Right.
it will amplify the impact. It will simply, you're as if you're giving me that kind of how to say that uh, that amplifies the voice, so
Absolutely.
yeah, so it's just like that, and that's how we learn together, that's how we grow together, and that's how we improve together.
Absolutely. And thanks a lot. Thanks so much, Puneet. This was an exciting session. I was learning a lot as you were speaking, and found it as extremely proud to partner with you and to with the community as a whole. This is our fourth year in the making of Triumph as an initiative, and this has been our largest Triumph ever with the largest participation. So we are very thrilled and excited. We look forward to continuing this engagement with the community. We are very purpose led when we are doing this event. We
I
really
see
want to
that.
work
I see
together.
that.
We really want to make sure that we are making a difference to the community and we're supporting each other. So we will look forward to partnering with you in many such initiatives going forward. Thanks once again for accepting our invitation and joining us and sharing your thoughts and pearls of wisdom. Uh, any thought closing comments from you?
No, no, I would just say thank you so much for the opportunity, Vimal. I'm really humble, and I'm really happy that I have got this chance to speak to the audience. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Look forward to connecting again. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.